Six Flags Over Georgia is home to many different roller coasters, but obviously the highlight is going to be the RMC Hybrid coaster Twisted Cyclone. This small yet powerful RMC took me by surprise on my first ever visit to Over Georgia recently. So today I'm going to be reviewing Twisted Cyclone. If you've never been theme park hunting before, make sure to subscribe for new content just like this every week. Let's get straight into it. So the coaster has a max speed of 50 miles per hour, 3 inversions, it's only 100 feet tall and has a length of 2,400 feet. Obviously, these would be good stats if it wasn't on an RMC. RMCs are known for having long and powerful layouts. Twisted Cyclone, on the other hand, is short and isn't long, but it is powerful. And there are many reasons why I believe this is powerful, but I'm going to get to that later. When you walk into the park, Twisted Cyclone just glows throughout the whole park. When you walk in, you look to the right, boom, you see Twisted Cyclone standing right there. And boy, isn't that an iconic view. I absolutely love just walking in, seeing that view. I was going a little crazy in my head because I'm like, wow, there it is. And it is hard to see around the park. That's one thing that is kind of funny, is that it stands out when you walk in, but once you walk away, you can't see it till you get in that area again. There's a lot of sections in the park, but for people who know what I'm talking about, once you go by Scorcher and Daredevil Dive, you can't see it anymore, and then when you're going up to it from the other side, you can't really see it until you're up next to Acrophobia. So obviously that means that you cannot see this coaster anywhere in the park. What is nice is they purposely put it right next to the entrance, so as you're coming in, it is the first coaster you'll see up close. Obviously, Goliath runs through the whole park, but Twisted Cyclone is nice because it's right there and it really stands out, especially with that fresh blue track. Obviously, a lot of the RMCs, especially the ones I have done, usually have red or brown track or different variations of those two colors. Twisted Cyclone, on the other hand, has a blue track. What's nice is that all the coasters at Over Georgia are pretty old, so when you have a nice blue, vibrant coaster standing out, it really adds some ambiance to the park. And as I've said before, so many of their coasters are old, so when you have a nice new coaster standing out, it's really nice because it gives it that nice new feel. Especially that area of the park, the area where Twisted Cyclone is, which is so much nicer than all the other parks. All the other parks look kind of crappy, like it's kind of run down, but once you get towards that section, it's really nice. So it does stand out. Now, one thing I will say with this coaster is that it is small. When you look at it from a far distance, it can be small. Now, once you're standing right next to it, 100 feet sounds a lot taller than it is. Obviously, there are many coasters that are 100 feet, and they look much bigger. Why? Because they're not surrounded by any other coasters. Since Twisted Cyclone is surrounded by much more towering coasters, especially Goliath, you can't really make it stand out when it comes to height. But once you're right next to it, it does stand out, and it looks amazing. So it is small, but large at the same time. So let me get to this too. Out of all the coasters at Over Georgia, this is the best themed one. I know that's kind of weird because you're like, well, it's not themed at all. I agree with that, but you have to remember it's Six Flags. They can't theme everything. But now I will say they've definitely been trying. It's obvious that they have been trying. I mean, look at Justice League. That's new. And then obviously they've been adding new additions lately. That makes all the new Six Flags coasters look much better than they would have before. So when you walk into the building, you'll see a lot of newspapers, and you'll see a lot of, signs about hurricanes and boarded up walls. And I mean, you're thinking about this, you're like, that's not theming. But when you go around the entire park, that's the most themed queue in the whole park. That is sad, but unfortunately, it's true. When I walked in there, it was the last credit I did throughout the whole day. So when I walked in, I'm like, hey, okay, look, they actually spent $2 on something here. I mean, it was nice. So you go up these stairs, and then you see like some crashed boats, some crashed signs. So, it's still kind of staying with the theme. I mean, I wouldn't look straight down from the stairs because then you'll see some water damage and concrete slabs just giving out. But hey, I guess it's a storm, so follows the theming. But I mean, the storm theming definitely is nice because all you have to make it do is look run down. I'm not sure if they just left over some theme parts of Georgia Cyclone, but if they did a good job. Anyways, there were some sections, I will say, that were nicely themed. Everything was nicely painted. It all looked fresh, which was really nice. You walk into that station, so much better than all the other stations in the park. So let's talk about one thing. When you get on these trains, there is something a little different. RMC has 2 different trains, and I've done two of them, obviously. I've done the two. So you have the steering axle trains, as seen on coasters like Iron Gwazi and Lightning Rod, which are the newer RMC trains. But then you have the legacy trains. With the legacy trains, they act more as boxes. So you see them on Twisted Cyclone, Steel Vengeance, and a lot of the older RMCs. So, obviously, RMC is trying to push their steering axle trains, so Twisted Cyclone and Steel Vengeance might have been the last two coasters to use the legacy trains. And what's nice with that is, in my opinion, I like them more. Why? They're much more comfortable, and they let me get a lot more room. I don't know why, but I have so much more luck getting room with the legacy trains than the steering axle trains. Why? The shin guards. The shin guards on the steering axle trains are so much more restricting, whereas the legacy ones aren't as bad. Obviously, what's nice about me is my legs are pretty long. That helps with shin guards, because if I can, sit up close and put my tippy toes up, boom, my legs look huge. Why? Because when they put that restraint down, my shin guards can't go down all the way because they're not on my shins exactly. Which means that now I have a lot of room because the lap bar isn't touching my lap. And I'm still sitting up close, so when I scooch back finally, I have a lot of room for airtime, which is great. I hate being stapled anyways, because being stapled, I just hate when I feel so restricted that I can't move my legs, especially with shin guards. That's the last thing I want. Now that we're on the ride, let's talk about the actual experience. So you come out of the station, and you go through this little pre-section. This is probably my personal favorite pre-section out of all the RMCs I've done, because on Lightning Rods, you just turn out the station and launch, and on Steel Vengeance, it has two ejector hills that I'd say give the most airtime on a pre-section, but Twisted Cyclones gave you none. I'm not sure why, but I thought the first drop in the back row, like that little pre-section drop, I'd actually get a good pop of ejector. I didn't get crap. I mean, it's there, but you're going through the ride, it's just kind of fun, because the airtime hills aren't, like, perfectly lined up. So because of that, your whole body's just moving around with the airtime hills. It's so weird because of how they're shaped, but I love it. Like this little outer bank hill, your whole body just whips that way, and it's just so cool. And I do like that little pre-section. One thing is that the lift hill is really loud. I mean, it is a loud lift hill. Not compared to Big Thunder Mountains or Space Mountains, but it's a loud lift hill. And going up, you better say anything you want to your friend during the pre-section. Because once you're going up the lift hill, you can't not hear anything besides the lift hill. You can't even hear your whole voice come out of your mouth. So, once you go down the drop, here comes the good part. So, one thing I felt about Twisted Cyclone was the ride didn't really begin till the second half. Because there were some sections that were so split between the front and the back in the second half. Whereas in the first half, no matter where you sit, none of the elements are going to be super powerful. So, this drop, for instance, in the front row, it's not going to be good. Back row down this drop is pretty good. Only because you kind of get thrown for some ejector. But then, because that little twist to the left, it jerks your body while you're getting ejected. Whereas in the front row, you don't get any of that. Which is cool. And then you notice with this wave turn coming over the lift hill, you get a really good head chopper effect. So when you get thrown into that hill, it really does look like your head's about to get chopped off, which is cool. I love those near misses. So once you go down this drop, you're going to go up into what is called a reverse cobra roll. So this element is so odd. And it didn't feel odd at all. You go through the zero, it felt like 2 0G rolls. You go through the 0G roll, you twist out to the right, and then you go through another 0G roll. It's nothing special. I didn't see the big deal about it. It's so much better in the front row. The back row, it's so bad. But it just didn't do anything for the ride. Like, it's cool and it's unique, but it just didn't do anything special. I think it's just there at inversions. Not gonna lie, if they kind of do what they did with the first half of the ride, or maybe do it like Hakugi, you go up, you dive down, wave turn, or you just keep going into another airtime hill. Boom! That would have been much better, but no, we got this weird element. It's fine, though. It's so much more whippier in the front row, which is nice. So after that, you're then going to go up into a wave turn. So I've heard many things about this wave turn on how it's the best part of the ride, how the element is so good. Oh my gosh, you have to experience this wave turn. It's the best part of the ride. It was so dumb. I'm not a big fan of wave turns. Not saying that they're bad elements, but they don't do anything for a ride except give you some sideways hang time, which is great, but, I'd much rather get just normal airtime. So, it's just that yes, is it the best one? I guess, but I didn't really get any airtime, sideways airtime on it. It was just like, oh, I'm here for the side. Okay, this is pretty cool, and then I'm done. Because all I want is for this, like, after, especially that part, because you know what's coming. It's the Airtime finale. That part's just, oh my gosh, can we get to the Airtime, please? That's all I'm thinking when I'm in there. So you come out of this wave turn, you go up for this first ejector hill. Now, this is where the ride is really going to depend where you sit, because each hill is going to give you a different experience either in the front or in the back. So in the front row on this hill is going to be much stronger than it is in the back, because you're going through this hill with all that speed you just got from the wave turn. So you get ejected, like I said, front row, so powerful. And then this is when you're kind of thinking like, oh my gosh, hold up. This isn't any normal RMC. So then you go through the overbank, great. Then you go through the second hill. And now this is where I'm saying, front is good, but if you're in the back, oh my gosh, you're getting thrown into this hill. Super powerful. It just feels like a double down on steroids, and that is what it is, but it's just that it's so powerful in the back, and I don't know why, but it really was so good. So after that hill, you go into a 0G roll. Now, off-ride, this 0G roll looks huge. On-ride, it's not that big, but I will say it's the best 0G roll on an RMC, just because instead of kind of going straight like a hardline roll, it really does go up and back down, which is what a 0G roll should do, but it went so high that you really felt the 0G part about it, which I really liked, so that was a really cool moment about it. Then after this, you go through the double Airtime hills. I don't care where you sit. You can sit front, you can sit back, you can probably sit middle. These two Airtime hills, I will gladly say, are the strongest back-to-back Airtime hills I've ever felt on an RMC. That's including Airworld's quad down on, or any Airtime moment on Lightning Rod, and that's including any Airtime moment on Steel Vengeance. These two hills throw you, and it could have just been the day I rode it, but I rode it 4 times on the day I went. I made sure I got more than one ride to really make sure. And these two hills killed you, and I love that. After that, you're then going to go into a second overbank. Again, it's an overbank, nothing special. Then, this is another hill. If you sit in the front, it's going to be stronger than the back. You go through this twisted Airtime hill. Back row's still good on it, but front row on this hill, I can proudly say, is the strongest Airtime I've ever felt on any coaster in the world. I've done most coasters that are known for being the best. I've done B&Ms, I've done RMCs, I've done some Intamins, I've done some of the world-class roller coasters. This Airtime hill alone, I can gladly say, the strongest Airtime I've felt. And then you're going to twist to the left and go into the brakes. And this twist right here, after that hill, after your whole body got whipped, you're going the other direction immediately. So your whole body just gets whipped to one side, and then you whip back to the brake run. It's such a powerful ending, because all these RMCs, they end with some couple Airtime moments, and then, okay, one smaller hill into the brake run that doesn't do anything. Lightning rods, you go down an Airtime hill that doesn't give you any airtime. This one, no, you twist into it. So when you hit the brakes, you obviously go back into the station. And there are many things I thought about this ride when I hit the brakes. So first of all, it is short. Don't get me wrong. I know it's a lot of problems with this ride. I know that's why it's such a low-ranked RMC, because it is short. And I can completely understand. Especially for a lot of you who may have done most RMCs in the world, I can understand why this may not be your favorite. And one thing that I did notice is that Georgia Cyclone was significantly longer than Twisted Cyclone. Not like duration-wise, but length-wise. It went around the whole track layout one extra time. Then again, it used a Cyclone layout, so it had much more room to do that, and since it didn't do all these crazy Airtime hills and twists and turns, it obviously can't do all that. So this is the one thing I still say is I wish they RMC'd Scream Machine instead. I love Scream Machine, but I don't know. I just feel like it could have been a better layout, because Georgia Cyclone can probably give some good airtime. I don't see Scream Machine doing the same. Obviously, I've written it. It doesn't really give you any airtime. I bet Georgia Cyclone will give you some airtime. So, I don't know. I wish they did Scream Machine, but hey, we got Twisted Cyclone out. There's an RMC over Georgia. That's what counts, right? So, if you haven't understood yet, it's powerful. In my eyes, it is one of the most powerful coasters I've ever ridden. It is intense when it comes to airtime. So it's not intense when it comes to forces. I mean, the ride is forceless as crap. But the airtime is really good. And this airtime proves that quality airtime is better than quantity airtime. For instance, Steel Vengeance, quantity. Twisted Cyclone, quality. Lightning Rod, quality. It's these things. And I love Steel Vengeance, but there's one thing I will say with Twisted Cyclone. It could be better. I still can't decide whether it is my number one or not, only because I need to get another ride on Steel Vengeance. I didn't get every experience. I only sat in the back for my 2 rides. I need to get a front ride. I don't want to just say it's my number one immediately because I had some good rides on it. No, I want to test it. I want to see what I like more, and then I'll decide. Because Twisted Cyclone is such a odd coaster to be better than Steel Vengeance. So, you know, you don't want to just say, oh, it's better because of a couple rides you got. But as I said before, it is the strongest airtime I felt. It is no doubt in my mind the best coaster at Over Georgia. And there's so many moments to this ride that are just so much better than most. And that's why, like, my opinions are so weird, because I don't look for, well, is this the best? Is this the best? I look for, what did I enjoy the most? What would I want to ride again? Obviously, when I was at Over Georgia, Twisted Cyclone was the last thing I did. I had plans to get some re-rides on some stuff. No, after I rode Twisted Cyclone for my first ride, all I did was get the Superman credit, because it was closed earlier in the day. Then I just marathoned the crap out of Twisted Cyclone, because that's what I wanted to do. I just had so much fun on it, and I just wanted to keep riding it. And it's those things where that's what I look for in a coaster. So at the end of the day, Twisted Cyclone is a blast. So that's going to be the end of this review for Twisted Cyclone. I know a lot of you may disagree, but tell me what you guys think of Twisted Cyclone. If you thought the airtime was weak, I'm sorry, you must have got a bad ride on it. I had the exact opposite. So if some of you had the same experience I did, let me know in the comment section down below. If you didn't, still let me know in the comment section down below. This was Hunter from Theme Park Hunting. I'll see you guys later, and remember to follow the thrill.